told by the doctors. So I go through with the surgery, and the nanosecond my eyes opened from anesthesia, I knew I had made the worst medical decision of my life. Y'all, when I tell you there was pain like I never knew, it surpassed childbirth. So much pain. And it only got worse.
Let's go. You are incredible. Your body has a purpose. Your life has a purpose. You were designed to live the best life possible. We all know the feeling of frustration caused by failed attempts. And sometimes failed attempts can make us become desperate. And that desperation can sometimes lead us to take drastic measures that can put our life at risk. In today's episode, we hear the story of Crystal, who during her weight loss journey became so desperate because she could not get the weight off that she went to get a medical procedure that nearly took her life. Not only did it almost take her life, but it caused her to lose something so near and dear that she is still suffering because of those side effects. What's going on? This is David Hernandez, and you've tuned in to Listen, You're Not Defeated. And in today's episode, we have a very special guest who shares her tragic story of a medical procedure. Let's check it out. Mic check. Mic sound okay? Camera 1 good? Camera 2 good? All right, here we go. So what do we got today, Allison? I know we have a special guest who is joining us on today's episode. Share, what do we got?
Yeah, so today we have Crystal, and Crystal's coming to us from San Antonio. Okay. And she is going to be sharing a pretty powerful story about her life experience. A couple of years ago, she was in a place kind of like, I was in a way struggling, not really happy with her relationship with food, her lifestyle, her weight. And over, a couple of years, her weight kind of kept creeping up to a place where she felt like this is out of control. And so after, speaking with some specialists, it was recommended to her to get the procedure, the gastric bypass procedure. And she'll share more about this, with you, kind of how she came to that decision. But she had the procedure done, and now a couple years later, she's still dealing with and working through some of the aftermath of that procedure and what it has how it's changed her life. So, without speaking too much, on her behalf, I think that it's a pretty powerful story. And it kind of just shows us how desperate we can be, to get to a point where we don't know what to do anymore. And we convince ourselves that there's only, one option. So.
That's right. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited for you all to hear her story. I actually connected with her back in 2020. And we since then have been close friends. We've gotten to know each other better. And when she shared the story with me, it was like, look, we need to bring her on here, and we need to have her share this story, and for others to really hear the dark side sometimes of things that we sometimes go through when we're in this process, right? Of achieving health or releasing weight or just getting control of our life. So let's go ahead and bring Crystal on. All right, perfect.
We are golden.
And technology,
yes,
works once again. But I was just basically telling them a little bit about how we connected back in 2020. And I remember when we were having that conversation initially, like you had mentioned about a procedure that you had done, and we didn't get much into the details about it. But now I remember, as we continue to go back and forth with our conversation, we circled back a couple weeks ago, and where you graciously helped me out with some research that I was doing regarding emotional eating and stress eating, because those were some of the things that you were dealing with, a little bit a while ago. And you just opened your heart and shared this story that just, I have to admit that after our phone call, like I broke down. I was in tears,
Oh,
right?
no.
Because it was something that not only is it a really close to my heart, because it's the same procedure that my best friend went through
Right.
and didn't make it out at the other end, right? He got an infection. 2 days later, he passed away. And when you're sharing the story, not only did you share the things that you went through, but even what happened as a result of it, that still today there are side effects and things that you're still dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And so before we jump in, like, why don't you just share with the audience and share with us a little bit about that backstory before making the decision or before getting to the place of actually having the surgery, like
Okay.
what all's happened?
So, weight has not been something that I struggled with in my youth. I was a pretty slim kid, really athletic, just as fine as I am now. I was that fine then, but just like really slim and just like yes all day long.
Yeah.
And I would see these people that would say, I woke up one day and I was 300 pounds. And I would say to my mom, I don't understand that. You don't wake up one day and you're 300 pounds. You see yourself getting there.
Right.
So I had my first child when I was 21, and I went from a very fit, very athletic 150 to a fit-ish 200 pounds. And I stayed there, bouncing back between 200 and 220. It was relatively easy for me to lose weight if I put my mind to it. So I stayed between 200 and 220 until I got pregnant 10 years later, again with my third child, and I skyrocketed up to 250. Because of difficulties with the pregnancy, I was put on bed rest. From that, I developed fibromyalgia, and my weight, the depression, everything just kind of went out of control. And I wasn't really happy in my life in general. And that just really contributed to it. There was a whole lot of physical pain, made it difficult for me to work out. And that became an excuse for me not to work out. And then I woke up one day and I was 400 pounds. Not 3, 4, 400 pounds I was. So now I'm watching my 600-pound life, because I'm like, okay, I need to figure out a way to motivate myself to not get bigger and to lose this weight. And I'm thinking, if I'm watching these shows, I'm seeing what happens at the end of no self-control, but I'm also seeing ways to try and take control back. I'm thinking they're going to have some good diet tips. They're going to, have some good exercise. And it turned out to be a big infomercial for the weight loss surgery, a big push for weight loss surgery.
Yes. Thank you.
And
I'm glad you
so,
recognized that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of in the way of dietary tips. There wasn't a whole lot in the way of ways to look at the why behind the relationship with food, or what got you there. There wasn't a whole lot of direction. You're watching these people whine and complain, and there's a lot of whining and complaining about how big they are, and I want what I want, a lot of temper tantrum throwing and fighting with the doctor, a whole lot of drama to push to this surgery.
Right.
So I said, okay, I have insurance. I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to see if I can get some help. So I go to the doctor and I say, I don't want the gastric bypass, because I didn't want to reroute my insides. I just wanted help. Yeah. So dietary pills weren't working. I tried phentermine. I tried Ally. I tried those apple cider vinegar burns. I tried, it's a burn up something, I can't remember the name of it, just protein shakes and low carb, high protein, keto. I tried just not eating, I tried everything I could think of, and I wasn't getting any results. So let me go to the doctor and see if I can get some help. And I said, I want a lat band. the doctor then proceeded to berate me about the Lat Band. And he says, oh, you want this foreign object in your body. And I'm saying, I don't want to reroute my insides, but you'll put a foreign object in your body. And I'm saying, well, I just want some help. I don't want permanent. I want to be able to change it as I need to. And
those that don't know what a Lat Band is, could you share what that is?
So basically, it's a rubber band around your stomach that restricts the amount of food intake that you can bring in. Okay. And what I didn't know is it causes problems, like a rubber band around your body causes problems, you know. Mm-hmm. It slips out of place. The area around it can become infected and cause sepsis and just so many other issues that arise from it. And he laid all that on me. And when he saw that I wasn't budging, he switched tactics because berating me wasn't working. I don't respond well to bullying. I'm that person that if you say to me, do this or I'm leaving, you'll come home and trip over your luggage. Bye. I'm that person.
I love that. Yeah, of course.
So he switched tactics and he says, listen, for your weight, for the comorbidities that you have. And at the time it was, I didn't have high blood pressure. I'm not diabetic, you know, I didn't have any of that really. I had the fibromyalgia, I had migraines, I had gastric issues, and I had slight anemia. The slight anemia is something that I've battled with my whole life. The polycystic ovarian syndrome, something that I battled with most of my life. So those weren't new and they're not comorbidities. Okay. But at the time, that's how they were billed to me. And he said, for your weight and the comorbidities that you have, there's no way that a Lat Band is going to work for you. I said, well, let's do a sleeve then. So don't reroute my insides, just cut a little bit of the stomach off and leave, you know, make a smaller stomach. So then I have no choice but to take in less food, thereby causing weight loss. That won't work for you either. You might lose 100 pounds, 50 to 100 pounds, maybe. And that's going to be a challenge. The best and really only option for you is this gastric bypass. So then I proceeded to go into the rooms. You know, there's a lot of support groups on Facebook. So I found a few of them and I'm saying to people, hey, my doctor's saying I need to get this surgery. What were your experiences? Give me the good, the bad, you know, the ugly, the beautiful, give it all to me so I can make an informed decision. And I got a barrage of, oh, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I got a bunch of before and after pictures of these people who were much heavier than they desired to be and looking like they feel bad about themselves versus a picture of them, you know, in their new slimmer bodies, looking healthy, feeling happy. Oh my God, it's the best thing ever. So my family is saying to me, don't do it. It's no good. I know people who have done it. It hasn't gone well for them. They've gained the weight back. They've had this problem. They've had back. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But I'm grown, right? I'm a whole grown woman. I got grown foster kids and I raised other people's children. My daughter's almost grown. I'm a grown woman. I make my own decisions, right?
Right.
Being told by the doctors. So I go through with the surgery and the nanosecond my eyes opened from anesthesia, I knew I had made the worst medical decision of my life. Y'all, when I tell you there was pain like I never knew, it surpassed childbirth. So much pain. And it only got worse. For the next 2 years, every single day, everything I ate came back up. I couldn't keep anything down. This is going to be a bit of an overshare. Please forgive me. But the gastric issues became such that I was 2 weeks without relief, minimum. And I was both terrified and excited to go to the bathroom. Terrified because it was coming out this size, wrist size, and rock hard. And I was ripping apart every time. Excited because at the end of all that pain, there was going to be some relief. So after 3 months, I went to my doctor and I said, hey, look, I can't live like this. I want you to reverse it. He said, no, we can't reverse it unless there's a medical necessity or unless you're not following the dietary plan. You're going back to drinking and smoking. Well, I don't drink and I don't smoke. That's never been my life. So I'm not going back to that. There is a medical necessity because I'm ripping apart and my body is holding on to waste for weeks at a time. So this is a problem we need to fix. He said to me, take one bite every 3 minutes. So now I'm sitting at the table. My family's joking, they're laughing, and they notice I take a bite and I stop. And my cell phone is sitting next to me. It goes off. I take a bite. And then, why is your cell phone going off? Like, what's going on over there? Oh, well, my doctor said I have to take one bite every 3 minutes so that I can eat and not throw it back up. So now the joy of eating entirely, that camaraderie, that loving feeling that comes when you're breaking bread with your loved ones, completely gone. Now I'm anxious, I'm depressed, more so. I don't want to eat. And it was like that for 2 years. I dropped down to 250 pounds. I was so excited to get there, but still, I'm vitamin deficient, and I still struggle with that absorption. But when you have those surgeries, your stomach is now small to the point where there's not enough surface space to properly absorb the vitamins. So even though you're chugging down handfuls of vitamins daily, your body is not getting all that you need. It's complete malabsorption, complete malnutrition. I've lost 3 teeth, 2 right here and 1 back here. I don't know if you can see it. My hairline started to recede. And so it turned into this, my nails, they got really, really brittle. They were breaking off at painful points. They would snap right in the middle. I'd accidentally hit my hand and the whole fingernail would just snap in the middle. So it was one thing after another with this surgery. So finally I found another doctor. They ran some tests. I had a hiatal hernia and I had a bunch of ulcers. So they reversed the surgery. They said there's a definite medical necessity for this to happen. They were able to reverse the surgery and get it billed as a medical necessity, not bariatric. That's a tip for you guys. If you're trying to get your insurance company to reverse that surgery for you, tell your doctors to bill it as a medical, not bariatric. You will not have the problems that you have trying to get it covered as a bariatric, I promise. So they billed it as a medical necessity. He fixed the hernia, reversed the biopsy. When I woke up from that surgery, when I tell you I knew I made the right decision immediately, I went back to work the day after surgery. Wow. With this one, with the reversal. Right. My family was like, hey, I need you to sit down and act like you just had surgery for a minute. Get healed
when
up.
I got my life back.
Exactly.
No way.
Wow. But before I had the reversal, I dropped it. I skipped ahead, y'all. I dropped to 250 and then I got pregnant. That is a common thing with bariatric surgery. It's much harder to conceive when you're overweight. So you lose that weight. If you're not paying attention, you might get caught up. So I got pregnant. On June 25th of 2020, and this is right about the time that David came into my life, my son was stillborn. He was 5.5 months in utero. Sorry. He was 5.5 months in utero. And the bypass I had on October, I had the original bypass in October of 2018, and I had it reversed in October of 2020. My son was supposed to be born on October 19th. I had the surgery on October 17th, and I was excited because I thought I'm going to have a valid reason to have enough medication in my system to not be conscious on that day. I didn't take anything because I wasn't in pain, and I'm not in the habit of just taking medication when I'm not in pain. So I just had to deal with the emotional stuff. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I lost my son. And when you're pregnant, you're bursting with life. For you men, the best way I can help you understand that, if you have an idea, a vision, a goal that you're trying to reach, and you are just filled with the energy of it, it's a living thing in your body, and you can't sleep because the ideas are coming rapid fire. And you when you finally do get to sleep, you wake up out the bed almost like Bruce Lee, just let's get at it. You're rare. It's kind of like that. You're just filled with this energy and this life. And 1 second I was bursting with life, and then it was just ripped from me, and there was this gaping hole. Now, typically, when you have a baby and the baby is born living, it's still ripped from you. The process is the same. You're still left empty, but you're not bereft because there's a living being there. And so your heart is full. You have all of this love now, and you have these moments that are coming to you, the cute baby moments, the first smile, the first time they say mama, the first walk, the first everything. You have all these moments that are coming. Whereas I had now this empty body and no baby, and my body was still preparing to nourish a baby that was no longer needing that nourishment. So I remember immediately after I had him, the first thing I wanted to do was eat everything in sight, because my core felt empty and just hollow. And I tried, I ate. That lasted maybe 2 days, and it was physically painful. I'm all about not causing myself pain if at all possible. So I 86 that, but the feeling was still there. And there came a point where I didn't feel safe to grieve. So I started saying everything is awesome. For about 2 weeks after I lost my son, everything is awesome. I'm fine. Everything is awesome. I changed my Facebook page and said, I'm fine. It's fine. Everything is awesome. My ringtone was everything is awesome. And so about 2 weeks after I started doing that, I went to Bible study, and the subject was when Jesus said, suffer the little children to come unto me. When I tell you that I was enraged, like if shapeshifters were a thing, I would have turned into a fire-breathing dragon and burned everything to the ground. I was livid. And I came back into my room as when it ended, and I ran out of the church like it was on fire. And I came back to my room, and I tried to lay down, and right in the center of my chest, right here, and in the center of in my back, right up on my spine, in my lower back, there was just this da-dum, 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 da-dum. And it was very, very fast, and it was very, very sharp, like being stabbed simultaneously in both spots. And I couldn't breathe. So my husband took me to the ER because I couldn't breathe. I couldn't lay down. I couldn't stand up. The emotional pain became physical at that point. So I got to the ER, and they asked me, I told them what happened. I lost my son 2 weeks ago, and now I can't breathe, and I can't lay down. It hurts, and I lay down, and I feel like I'm choking. I stand up, and I feel like I'm choking, and I can't do it. So she asked me, had I been thinking about losing my son? Please forgive this next statement. I'm very honest, and it is what it is.
It is.
I looked at her and I said, no, I haven't been thinking at all about the fact that 2 weeks ago, I was full of life and expecting a beautiful son, my first son, my only son. And then the angel of death came in my home, touched my body, stole his life. And then I had to give birth to said son, and me, the mom whose child is with her. Like, if you see me, you see my kids from the time they were born. I wasn't that mom that said, hey, watch my kid, I'm going to the store real quick, because it's easier than having to deal with the car seats and whatnot. Nope, I'm going to the store, they go with me. My youngest is 12 right now. She gets out of school and she walks over to my job and she sits there. If I'm walking around the house, she's following. But if you see me, you see my kids. That's who I am. So no, I didn't think about the fact that I had to leave the hospital and leave my son there, his body, and then make arrangements for a mortician to come in and get his body, and then make further arrangements to have my son put in a box, and said box set on fire, to have my son returned to me in ash form so I can present him to his grandparents in an urn. No, I haven't been thinking about that at all. And she looked at me and turned around and walked out of the room, and sent in some nurses with Ativan and pain medicine. And they shot me up with Ativan and pain medicine and sent me home. So I got home. I had a knockdown, drag out conversation with God. We didn't fight. That's not happening. But we had a conversation. And I screamed and I yelled and I cried, and I screamed and yelled and cried, and I fussed and I hollered and I cried and I moaned until I was hoarse and I couldn't anymore. And my husband held me while I went to sleep, and I cried myself to sleep. And when I woke up the next morning, I was on the other side of broken. I had moved through the grieving process in a space of about 24 to 48 hours. And I did that by facing some very hard truths. The fact that man that's born of a woman shall surely die. There is no written tablet that says my son's going to go first, or I'm going to go first, or my parents or my husband. The fact that as a parent, I wanted to wrap my kids in a bubble and fill that bubble with joy and sunshine and rainbows and happiness and all the things that they want, and never let anything evil touch them. And well, my son has that. He is where I'm trying to go. He's being taken care of far better than I could take care of down here. BLM was hot and heavy at the time. And the whole George Floyd thing was hot and heavy, and it was so much ugly from people. I mean, I'm watching beautiful little girls, blonde hair, blue eyed, brown hair, brown eyes, fair skin, beautiful little girls being forced to hold up signs that say, "Forgive me for my white privilege." And I'm thinking, oh my God, what parent in their right mind? These kids don't know, they don't understand. They don't possibly understand what it is you're trying to push on them. And I thought, my son will never be touched by this ugliness. And he is where I'm trying to go. And he's okay. So I can focus on my living children, and I can focus on myself. And once I came to that point, I connected with another young woman who lost 3 children. She reached out to me, actually, and I was telling her that I really wished I could gather up all of these women and their families and just love on them who have lost kids, because it seems like you never hear about it. It's in the periphery. It can happen, right?
Right.
And it's in the periphery, and it's not your story until it's your story. Right. And I was telling her, it seems like now every time I turn around, instead of me hearing, "Please pray for my uncle's wife's best friend's sister, 3rd removed on my father's side," it's, "Please pray for me. I just lost my son. Please pray for me. Oh my God, I just lost my baby. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm stuck in my grief. My sister just lost her kid." And now all of a sudden it's so close to home, and there's so many people, and then I find out that people that I didn't even know, friends that I didn't even know have gone through this, and they're all reaching out to rally around me. And I'm saying, God, I wish there was a way that I could rally around them. So then he gave me Amari's heart, to reach out to moms and dads who have lost kids. Eventually it will be the surviving children as well. And it's to right now I'm dealing with with stillbirth and miscarriage. I'm getting ready to open up to women who have lost to abortion and who are now grieving with that. And when I tell you, God had to work with me on that because I wanted my kid. And I was ready to crucify. And at the time that I lost my son, I'd scroll through my feed and I'd see somebody, you know, a little teeny bopper with a glass of wine. I'm pregnant, but I'm having an abortion. I'm like, are you kidding me? My heart is splintered and I want to eat myself into the grave so that I can be with my son. And seriously? And God had to remind me that some women were tricked out of their children, just like I was tricked into gastric bypass.
Yeah.
And some women were forced into abortion. They didn't have a choice. And there's this ideology that's been taught to my generation and generations before me that they're still teaching that once you get pregnant, your life is over, in an attempt to stop premarital pregnancies, preteen or teenage pregnancy. And that opens the door for that fear to set in, right? So then you get pregnant and it's like, oh God, my life is over. What am I going to do? Yeah. Abortion becomes a viable option. And in some cases, you feel like it's your only option, just like I felt gastric bypass was my only option at that time. So I got knocked off my high horse real quick at that point. They don't need me beating them up. They don't need me pushing my thoughts and beliefs on them. They need love. They need support. They need help, just like the rest of us. So we opened it up for grieving families who have lost children, period. And we do coaching sessions, group, and then individual. And then it culminates at a weekend retreat where we just love on them, you know, facials and mani-pedis. And we have the raindrop massage therapy, and we teach the husbands how to minister to the wife's body when the emotional pain becomes physical and she can't breathe and everything hurts. Wow. You know, just a lot of stuff packed into this weekend. And so it all kind of, the past 2 years have been really, really traumatic. Mm-hmm. I lost my son in June 25th of 2020. Then I had the bypass. Then I had COVID in January. Then I simultaneously fractured my rib in the back here on the right side and had 2 rotator cuff injuries. And then my front rib on the left side started hurting. And I also had pain in my hips and I didn't know why. And my OBGYN told me after I lost my son that during the time of the bypass terror years, I was in and out of the ER constantly because I was having stomach pains all the time. They said that I had swollen lymph nodes in my iliac, but nobody told me because they were only dealing with the gastric issue. So now here a year and a half later, I'm finding out that this is an issue. She sent me to an oncologist. They tried to do a biopsy without putting me to sleep and hit a nerve. So now I've got the ribs on both sides, the hips, my back, my shoulders, all hurting. And then I got June 15th of 2021, I was diagnosed with diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, so blood cancer. And then in October, I got COVID again. In August, my toenails came off. And I was driving 2 buses at the time. I had 3 jobs, 2 of them driving, and I couldn't do it without wearing sneakers or some type of proper shoes. So I had to put numbing cream on and wrap my toes up so I could drive the bus. So I'm driving and screaming, literally going, you know, the whole time. Yeah. In August, also, I was told that I probably won't be able to have any more kids. I still have malabsorption as a result of the bypass. So right now, my vitamin levels are deficient. I've just recently learned that I can use sublingual drops, and that actually works better. So I've been doing that. But as a result, you know, and like wake up feeling like I took medicine to go to sleep every single day. I would be able to carry on for a few days, a week and a half maybe. And then I would just crash, and I can't drive. I can't get up. I can't do anything. And then they said that I had to go into the hospital on 3 different occasions because they had to give me methotrexate, which is a super high dose chemo, in addition to the chemo they had already given me when I thought I was done, to make sure that it didn't come back as brain cancer. And they told me I had to have a stem cell transplant. And then they said, no, you don't, whatever. By Christmas week, the same year I was diagnosed. So diagnosed June 15th, 2021. By Christmas week 2020, cancer-free. Cancer-free.
Incredible.
The malabsorption issues, most of the gastric issues, it's still somewhat of a problem, but it's a little bit easier to control now. Most of the gastric issues, they've all pretty much reversed themselves. It's almost like I never had the surgery to begin with. I still don't eat a whole lot. And I mean, it is what it is. And that's cool. I get fuller quicker, and I guess that's a good thing. I nibble a little bit here, a little bit there, have a meal, protein shakes, whole lot of fluid. So I'm healthy. The biggest thing that I'm dealing with right now is chemo-induced hypothyroidism. And the worst problem that it's causing for me is with my energy levels, but otherwise all good. I still cry when I tell the story. It's still a very sensitive pain point for me, but I'm not broken. I'm not depressed. I'm very, very happy. I have a lot of joy. I have a lot of love in my life. I have a super strong support system. So many beautiful people showed up in my life during the time when I lost my son and while I was battling cancer. And I purposely stayed in worship. In case y'all didn't know, I am a minister. I'm really big on utilizing the word of God to fight my battles. And so I purposely stayed in worship. So about 85% of what most people deal with when going through, I didn't deal with it. So I was able to keep working. I was able to keep doing what I needed to do. Yeah, so that's me.
I mean, that's incredible. Allison, you wanna share anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, like, again, like, we start in this place where it's like, okay, I'm struggling, and I'm going to try to fix this. I'm going to try to keep going. I'm going to try to get better, and then you come to that point where you're just kind of desperate. Like you were saying, like you tried all these things. And when you were younger, like, okay, you could maybe lose the weight, but then it would kind of come back. And then it's sad to hear that these medical professionals that you're trusting, are saying to, like, this is your option. This is it, for whatever reason, whatever. I mean, it's like mind boggling to me why, there sounds like there were some other options that you brought to the table, even yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no, you want to do this, and then I think a lot of people, see, just like any other, quick fix, they're all quick to see like the positive stories, right?
Yeah.
Like, this worked for me, and look what this did for me. And, and then I think you were sharing with me, like, when we talked before, like, then when you go back on, then you start saying, like, are other people having these problems?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you.
Right.
Let me tell you. So let me tell you. So I went to the Facebook groups, that's the same ones that said, oh yeah, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. Right. And I'm saying, okay, when does this end? When do I stop feeling like this after I eat? When do I stop? Oh no, sweetie, that's what it is now. That's your life.
God.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's like a brain.
I asked you these questions. Yeah.
That's
like, these people were told, like, this is your only option.
Yep. Yourself
included. And now now other people are saying, oh yeah, here's what you had to pay for it. Like, for the rest of your life, now you're going to have difficulties absorbing nutrients. Like,
Yeah,
That's your
it's
issue.
kind of like a misery loves company situation, you know. So like
Yeah.
I did this thing and I hate that I did it, right? But you're asking me how, oh yeah, it was great. Come on to this side. Now you're over here. Got you.
Yeah.
Now you see what I'm talking
Crazy.
about.
That's
Why?
crazy.
Why not? And then when I would tell people in the group, when somebody else would come in and ask, I'm saying, don't do it. Run
Right.
fast, run far. If your
Yes.
doctor is telling you this is
Good.
your only option, run fast, run
Yes.
far. Don't
Because it's
do
not.
it.
Because it's
Don't
not.
do
And
it. It's not.
look, I'm so thankful that you made it out alive.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that you're here to be able to share this story, but you know how many people don't make it out and
Yeah.
how many people today are suffering because of the secondary side effects because some stupid doctor, some stupid uneducated in this concept, right? Because all they're doing is pushing what they are good at. And obviously we all know why. Let's be
Money.
real with this.
It's
It's
all
all about
about the
money.
money.
They
All about
don't
the money.
care about people. They don't care about us. Neither does the fitness industry. That's why it's a billion-dollar industry that all they push is quick fix, quick supplements, really quick. All you got to do is less effort, put this in, take this in, drink this stuff, and it's going to solve your problems. No, it's not. They are
Lose weight
playing
while
with
you're
your
sleeping.
emotions. They're playing with your emotions because they know you're desperate, you're weak, you're vulnerable, you're tired, you're frustrated. They take advantage of you. They rape you emotionally. They manipulate you into falling into their trap so that they can make money off of you. These
That's it.
doctors are no different.
That's it.
Because
That is it.
surgery should never be the option. And I say for anyone, I mean, unless you are absolutely immobile, you cannot move, you cannot function, you are in a bed and you're about to die because you are excessively obese and you're dealing with health complications, then maybe, okay, let's talk. But because all of these things, not only does it destroy you, like, my goodness, all that you shared, but it doesn't really solve the issue
No,
completely long term.
no,
It's
it
the
does
quick
not.
fix, temporary solution that brings a certain level of instant gratification, or not even instant, because it's like you have to endure it for years, right? That gratification, which according to your story, Crystal, it doesn't seem like gratification at all. It's just
At
pain,
all.
suffering, hatred. You hate yourself. You hate life. You hate everything. Where's the joy in that?
There is none. Let me tell you something else that they don't tell you. That surgery rewires your brain.
Yes, it
So
does.
the you know how when you're craving something and you eat it and then it's like colors and light and your brain just explodes. It's so good and so
The
satisfying.
reward response system.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone. You do not get that at all. And everyone's like, oh, that's a good thing. It's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
There is a healthy way to have joy in your eating.
That's right.
And they steal that from you.
That's right.
They steal the opportunity to even find out.
That's right.
If you notice, I said when I lost my son, my first thought was I want to eat to fill that void.
Yes.
There's a deeper thing happening there that's not about the
100%.
food, you know,
100%.
and those things need to be addressed.
That's right.
But they just rob you on every possible level. Every possible level. And if my story can stop even one person from going that route, listen, if you're hurting, your knees hurt to move, find yourself a chair, right? And sit down and do you some chair aerobics.
Yes.
If your arms hurt and you can't hardly move your arms, do some squats, do some leg work, take a walk,
Yes.
you know,
That's right.
just walking, do something, you know, and over time, eventually it gets better. There are supplements and things that you can take and do, natural things that you can take and do that will help alleviate that pain, that will help reverse some of that damage, that will help to rebuild those parts of your body that have broken down so that you can. But until you get to where you can, start small, take a walk, do something, you know, just no
Amen
part
to
of,
that.
I want, oh my God.
Yeah. Which
Run
is
fast,
why
run
I
far.
do what I do and I'm so
Yes.
passionate about and why I wanted to bring you on, because it just re-emphasizes what I say and what I believe and what I encourage people to do. right? In terms of living this life in this way, it is achievable. When we start identifying and bettering our relationship with food and start understanding the principles that drive a healthy life so that we can each day be able to do that and live the best life possible.
Yes, absolutely.
And Cynthia is commenting here. She almost had this gastric bypass surgery right before she met me. And the only reason I didn't do it was because I didn't have the money. I was desperate, and I understand the desperation part. But her story is also incredible, right? She's been able to release over 100 pounds. She's got her life back. And it
Wow.
was because she chose to not listen to
Right.
what the doctor said and fight the right way by understanding the principles of health, bettering her relationship with food. And still today, she's striving to continue to live the healthy life that she desires, right?
Absolutely. Miss Cynthia,
Crystal.
this is going to sound really harsh, but I am so happy that you did not have that money, honey. I am so
Yeah.
happy that you did not
Please,
have
yes.
that money. Listen, when it looks like it's a bad thing, God is still working behind the scenes. I'm so happy that he blocked it and you was not able to get it, and that you were able to connect with my brother here and find a different way, a healthier way of doing it. That just makes me happy. So happy.
I agree.
Now, before we close here, Crystal, what could you tell those that, I know you kind of shared it, and it'll be a two-part thing if you wouldn't mind sharing, those that are on the fence, right? Believing that they're hopeless and that they never be able to get the life that they desire to be healthy if they don't go that route, right? And secondly, what could you tell the people that have gone that route, but maybe today are shaming themselves and they're beating themselves up because of the choice they made? What could you share with the audience?
So first of all, for those of you who fell into this trap and are shaming yourselves, I can tell you all day, don't do it. Don't feel this way. Don't feel that way. The bottom line is that you feel what you feel, and you're entitled to it. But what I will tell you is this: forgive yourself, and understand that in those moments of desperation is when the enemy, whomever that enemy may be, attacks the hardest. Not to say that you don't have responsibility for making that decision, but you were trying to do something to reclaim your life. You were trying to get better. You were trying to make a decision to be there. You know, you setting within your heart, within your soul, listen, I got kids, I got family, I have this, I have that. I need to be there for these people. I want to see them grow. I want to see them learn. I want to see what happens when my daughter has a daughter who acts exactly like her. You know, I want to see that. So, you know, don't beat yourself up about it. At this point, it serves you not at all. Find you a different doctor, a good doctor who, if they can reverse it for you, will reverse it. Remember what I said, have it done as a medical necessity, okay? Not as a bariatric surgery, so you can get it approved through your insurance.
Good.
If reversal is not an option for you, then you need to get with a doctor who's going to help you better manage the issues. You need to find a better way of getting that absorption and that nutrition so you don't, you know, mess around and lose your teeth and lose your hair and lose this and lose that. For those of you who are on the fence, I beg of you, run fast, run far. Don't do it. There are so many other things that you can do, and so many other avenues that you can take. And hear my heart when I say this, beloved. Your beauty, your worth is not tied to this body. It's not. This body is not even who you are. It's a home for your soul. Period. And at the end of the day, don't strive to be societal's ideation of beauty. Strive for healthy. Go for that. Get you some vegetables, good vegetables. Get you some good fruits. Go garden. Find you a hobby that forces you to get up and move and do something. You don't necessarily have to exercise. If you're gardening, I promise you, you're getting a workout.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
It doesn't have to be in a gym. Gyms are intimidating for a lot of people. You don't have to be on a treadmill. It doesn't have to be an aerobics class. You don't have to do step. You don't have to do Zumba. Find you something you enjoy. Go swimming. Take a hike. Not like,
Yeah.
but
No pun
go on a
intended.
hike, if you live in an area where you can go canoeing, go canoeing, go roller skating, ride a bicycle, enjoy your life. And those activities will net you the calorie burning and exercise that you need. It doesn't have to be in a gym. Stop listening to the media. Do not watch My 600-Pound Life. Seriously,
don't do it.
Seriously, shun that show. Seriously. And surround yourself with people who are gonna support you, not enablers. People who are gonna support you, not people who will beat you down when you fall, because you're a human and you will mess up, because let's all face it, a brownie is pretty delicious, right? So there will be those moments. You don't need somebody beating you up and berating you because you had a moment. For both sides, whether you did it or you're thinking about it, get yourself a strong, loving support system. Okay.
There's one here, right?
Yes.
There's one here that you can tune into. Crystal, thank you so much for being on today's episode.
Thank you for having me.
You're incredible. Keep doing what you're doing. And how can people connect with your organization? How can people get in touch with you? Please share that. I'll also include that information in the comments in the show notes area. But how can people reach out to you if they know of somebody that maybe have experienced loss, or they themselves have experienced some type of loss in that sense, so that they can find support?
You can reach me on Facebook right now at Amare Hart. It's AMARE and then HART. Long story that boils down to my Facebook page was taken over, and I ended up using my son's name and a variation of Hart to get a new profile. So if you reach me on
drop that in the comment section right there. Yes. For people to see it.
And then I also have a page that's Amare's Hart. So Amare with apostrophe S and then the actual Hart, HEART, that you can reach out to us that way as well.
HEART.
Yes.
Okay. Doing that now. Perfect. Okay, cool. So I dropped that in the comments. If any of you want to reach out to her, any questions about even the procedure, gastric bypass procedure, stuff that you maybe want to talk to her in confidentiality about it, that maybe you don't want to include in the comment section, please just feel free to reach out to her, and she'll definitely get in contact with you. Again, Crystal, go ahead. Anything else?
I'm sorry. Real quick. I just want to say, if please know that I am a minister. So if you ask me for advice or whatever, it's always going to come from a place of the word of God. And David can vouch for me in saying that if you tell me something, it stays between you, me, and God. I don't gossip. Absolutely. It's right there. I don't judge. I'm not going to beat you up. And I won't offer you advice unless you ask for it. If you just need to vent, you want me to pray with you, you know somebody who needs, please don't hesitate to reach out.
I love that. You have a beautiful heart, which is why I love you, Crystal. Thank you so much. Have a blessed night. And we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Bye, Allison.
Good night. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Allison, wow.
Yes.
What an episode, man.
Yeah, I'm like speechless pretty much, right?
It just infuriates me that the medical system, instead of being for us, instead of, showing people, giving them options, encouraging them, telling them, hey, let's do this, let's try this, let's go this route, right? Because look, surgery is just a temporary fix.
Right.
Does it help? Has it helped people? Yes. And I'm sure there's people that have benefited from it, but the greater majority the risk that it imposes and the risk that it brings on people and the destruction it can cause is so greater than the solution it brings. Because look, we've learned, and I've talked to you about it, right? It happened with you. It's an identity issue.
I just
It's
don't even
not
understand.
a
To be
body
honest
issue.
with you, I don't understand how it even works for anyone, to be honest with you, in the end.
Yeah. Right.
Like I understand
That's right.
how medically
Yes, good
and
point.
physiologically it could cause you to lose 100 pounds, which, don't get me wrong, is a big deal and is important.
Of course.
But from that moment on, if you are not dealing with the psychological, emotional, behavioral, deeper root issues, triggers that are causing you to do some of these destructive behaviors, I just don't understand from my own experience,
of course,
how it could ever, you could never really stop it. You know, you would just keep chasing and chasing and chasing and chasing.
Yes, because now you're simply trying to chase a result that is going to bring a temporary external fix, when in reality, the issue is within.
It is.
It's an identity. It's a belief system. It's a shaping, constructive, psychological aspect of who you are and who you've become because of what you've done in life, and because of the things that you've had. That's right. The relationship with food that you have, the habits that you've repeated, the things that you believe, your understanding of food, your psychology of food, your psychology in terms of what health is, of what your lifestyle is. If none of those things are addressed, it's just a matter of time for it to crumble and fall apart. Right.
Yeah. And, you know, furthermore, just to say, you know, as a mom, I'm thinking to myself, as we, you know, talked about, like, a lot of these things I now realize, like, I'm glad I have control of them and are thinking new ways to handle them, because my parents taught me a lot of these behaviors and habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you do these quick fixes, they may have results, but you're not really, a lot of it is not something you're going to really be able to understand what you're doing. And so you can stop it and change that behavior and that habit, and thus teach it.
That's right.
To the next generation. So this is not getting a gastric bypass surgery is not doing anything for anybody else, because, and again, I'm not shaming anybody that's done it. No. It's just, it's another, to me, very drastic, you know, quick fix. But in the end, it's still that same concept of, let me do this to myself so I can stop this. But are you really?
Yeah. And it's very dangerous. Look, there's so much at risk, right? Because if we get this procedure done, it helps. It reduces our stomach or whatever the procedure is. If we still continue to go back to the same eating habits, if we still continue to go back to the overindulging piece, to the cravings piece, to handling our emotions with food, right? To dealing with stress with food, look, that procedure isn't going to now be the absolute fix that now you can have a free-for-all and continue to be in this lifestyle, because you're going to gain it all back, or it's going to be worse. Right. And so I guess as we come to a close, look, one of the things I just want you to know is that there's a better way. Yeah. Right. And that's why and that's why we're doing these weekly lives. And that's why we're here as a support system for you, because I want you to know that there's a better way. Look, Allison is experiencing that better way, right? Many other students like Cynthia and many others that are joining into what we are teaching through this platform is there's a better way. And when you understand that better way, look, you can start taking control of your life and your health. And before, as we close, I just want to remind you, one of those ways is through my 2-day conference. And look, we're getting really close to it, Allison. I'm super excited. It's on June 10th and 11th. First Sleep to Better Health. It's a 2-day conference. I wish you were here so you could be here in person. But nonetheless, you will be on and encouraging others. But it's really for you. It's a 2-day conference where we're going to be teaching you how to master eating habits, how to put an end to these behavior patterns that are causing you to go to food or to have an unhealthy relationship with food or to have unhealthy eating habits. Literally going to teach you a 4-step process, the same one that I taught Allison, that helped her put an end to emotional eating, stress eating, and all the sugar cravings that she had, and literally stop being a sugar addict.
Yeah.
And now take control of her health and start living her life and impact it in every area. That same 4-step process is what I'm going to teach you. So if you want more information on how you can tune in, on how you can participate, visit my website, www.firstleaptobetterhealth.com, firstleaptobetterhealth.com, for you to register and sign up for all the details. Very well. Allison, as always, you're incredible.
Thank
We
you.
did it
Keep
another
it.
week. Thanks for tuning in. Any thoughts, final thoughts while we close?
I just think this was a different type of episode and a different type of guest, but I think the takeaways are the same, and I think it's really interesting that we're having some different guests and some different types of discussion, because I think that reaches out to more people.
That's right. That's right. And look, if you have questions, you can send them to myself, or you can send them to Allison, which I'm putting her information there in the comment section. Shoot her a message so that we can compile those questions and start bringing them to the episodes. If you have a specific topic that you're struggling with that you want us to discuss, send us a DM or even drop it in the comment section here so that we can address that, because look, these episodes are for you. Stay tuned. We're going to have more guests. We're going to have more surprises, more questions, and more things simply to bless you, the audience. So Allison, have a good night, girl.
Good
Take
night.
care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Man, it was definitely an emotional episode for me. Crystal's such a brave woman for coming on and just sharing her story and being vulnerable with us. It was a hard one for me. Many of you know that I lost my childhood best friend at the age of 21 to a gastric bypass surgery. Just like Crystal, he was obese. He was desperate to get the weight off. He went to get a gastric bypass surgery. 2 days later, he got an infection and he died. He wasn't as fortunate as Crystal. And so as I close today, I just want to reiterate, I've already said this and we've all said it in the episode. Look, I want you to know there is a better way. If today you find yourself struggling, you're struggling with emotional eating, you're struggling with binge eating, you're struggling with obesity, you're struggling with unhealthy weight, you're just not happy with how you look, you're struggling with being healthy, you're unhealthy, and you can't live the life that you desire, look, there's a better way. And I want to support you. I want to encourage you. I want you to know that I'm here to serve you. No strings attached. Just simply know that I'm here for you. So if you'd like to connect with me, the best way to reach me and the best way to connect, the best way to stay connected is through my social media handle. All social media platforms, you can find me on @DaveK_Hernandez, @DaveK_Hernandez. There is my handle. Feel free to connect with me. Let's have a conversation. And another way that you can connect to have a deeper conversation, if you'd like to book a call, let's just chat. You can do that on my website. That is www.davidhernandez.co, davidhernandez.co. You can find it there at the bottom. And if you haven't already subscribed, look, click the subscribe button and also click the notifications, click the little bell so you can get all the notifications of our up and coming episodes. And if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast station, look, click the follow button so that you can get all the notifications of our up and coming episodes. If you want to shoot an email to me, if you have any questions and want to connect with me that way, look, shoot me an email, listennotdefeated@gmail.com. listennotdefeated@gmail.com. There it is at the bottom. And if you haven't already registered to my 2-day conference, look, visit firstleaptobetterhealth.com for more information. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Listen, You're Not Defeated, and I am your host, David Hernandez. Remember, you're not defeated, and you are incredible. Go out, live your best life, go out and crush it. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.